I'm Lucas,
I'm Kathleen,
and you're watching Last Week with IHS 21.
the talk show where seniors from the Independence High School discuss semi-relevant topics and overall have a chill time as we cruise through our everyday school lives.
However, today, instead of students, we brought in some of the very lovely teachers here at Independence High School. So, how about you all introduce yourselves along with what you teach?
You got it. I'll go ahead and go first. My name is Mr. Jeremy Peoples. I teach 9th and 12th grade English. I'm an English teacher here at Indy. Glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dodd. I teach jazz, modern, and independence at Independence.
I'm Mr. Dean Nguyen, not to be confused with the many other Nguyen's on campus, and I teach physiology.
So I'm Ms. Romo, Viviana Romo, and I teach government and economics.
All right, very happy to have you all here today. This is currently being recorded March 24th, 2021. And on March 20th, we put out a question sticker on our class Instagram to see what you all would like to ask the teachers. And we're going to tackle this Q&A style.
Okay, before we get started, this episode is unofficially sponsored by Craft Belly Delights. Mr. Nguyen, do you want to talk about Craft Belly Delights and what that is?
Craft Belly Delights is ice cream that is all natural, non-GMO. Okay, you can order online from our website, which is craftbellydelights.com. Okay, and it'll get shipped directly to your home. Okay, it is keto friendly, it is diabetic friendly, so you can share it with your grandparents and they'll be okay.
Okay, so very happy to have you all here today. And with that being said, is everyone ready?
Do it.
All righty. Going with our first question. Speaking of Craft Belly Delights, will Craft Belly Delights have any new flavors planned in the future?
Yes, we do have new flavors coming out. We are aiming for this summer, maybe even earlier for spring, but timeline for us right now is summer to come out with some strawberry cream and mint chip.
Ooh, sounds delicious.
good.
I've placed I've placed several orders with Mr. Nguyen's company, and I'm going to be placing even more as soon as that mint chip drops. So thank you, Mr. Nguyen, for all you do.
You'll get the first scoop on when it comes out.
Looking forward to it.
Say someone, I'm asking for a friend, but if I wanted to order some Craft Belly Delights, where would I go?
You can go to our website, which is craftbellydelights.com. So you can spell out craftbellydelights.com. So you can order it from our website, or the only locations we have right now is at Zanato's grocery market in Willow Glen, and you can also go downtown to Vietnamese eatery in the Sofa Market. So right now that's where we're at, but for the most part, it's all order online and delivery.
All right, that sounds delicious. My friend will definitely be ordering some now that he knows how. All right, getting on to the actual teacher-related questions. So the first one, it's a pretty general question. What are your guys' thoughts on distance learning in comparison to in-person learning? Go for it. Do you prefer it? Do you hate it? Do you hate it with the burning passion of 1,000 suns? Go for it.
It's definitely got its conveniences, right? You don't got to wake up and get ready and get dressed and drive to campus, but it's not ideal, and the connections and personal connections with students is just not there. So it's definitely not preferred.
I hate it with 1,000 burning whatever you said.
Yeah, 1,000 burning suns.
Yes, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I miss my students. I got to have a live cohort rehearsal on Saturday for 2 hours with Independence, and it was joyous to be with other students and to actually turn around and see my dances that I'm teaching being done by people. It was heaven.
I love distance learning. I think I'm just kidding. It is absolutely, I think my colleagues here will agree. It certainly is not, it is not preferable. No, like how Mr. Nguyen said, yes, obviously, right. Some things are preferable, right? Rolling out of bed, that few extra minutes of sleep. I'm sure my colleagues agree. Classroom management, right, is a lot easier. You don't have anybody, shouting out of turn, or if anybody's acting like a knucklehead, you can just remove them from the classroom and talk to them later, whatever it may be. But no, it's not. It's not personal, or it's not preferable. I know me. I know what I'm good at. And frankly, I'm just better in front of a live studio audience, really. I mean, those missed connections with those kids, it's my favorite part of the job, is the connections. And it was taken from me this year, as so many other things were taken from all of us. It's just a matter of making the best of a bad situation right now, which I think that we're all doing, but no, it's of course not preferable.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially because I teach physiology. I can't monitor the physiological changes when people eat ice cream, especially Craft Belly Delights ice cream.
I'm going to text you, Mr. Nguyen, every time I take a bite and let you know. So you'll know it from me. It's funny.
There you go. And that kind of that leads into the rumors that I've been hearing, that are we actually going back in April? Does anyone know the whole situation about that?
Oh, this is a gotcha question, by the way. You got the scoop on us.
No,
Gotcha.
nobody knows what's going on. That's
We-
the reality, is nobody has a clue what's going on.
Because from what I've heard is that I know what they're doing with elementary schools is that it's going to be opt-in, like with BUSD is going to be like opt-in.
Sure.
But what I've heard from our district is tutorials. The tutorial hours are going to be available in person.
I think we're a little hesitant to talk about it because we're still trying to figure it out ourselves. We, not to say too much, but we had a nice long meeting with Mr. Berg this morning. But it
Really?
was, yeah, it was needed though. We kind of figured out some situations where it's going to work, but honestly, like how Ms. Dodd said, it really is up in the air right now, as closely as it is coming. Whether or not expectations to show up, or whatever it may be, it's. I mean, we really can't say one way or another right now.
Yeah,
Without lying to you.
All
it
we
was
know
so confusing.
is the date to return would be April 19th,
Yeah.
and we're going to figure it out by then.
All right, that sounds good. That's right after spring break too.
Yeah, the week after. Yeah.
And
Man.
I can almost guarantee you that anything we tell you today will change 7 times by April 19th.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
So you guys kind of got into it while you guys were answering the first question, but basically, how has your relationship with your students changed because of distance learning? Because I know personally as a student, as you said, we just don't have that connection with teachers that we normally do. I know like for a lot of students, they don't turn on their cameras when they enter class. So, if you were to see them in person right now, you might not recognize them like you normally would. So maybe you guys could delve into that about how your relationship has changed because of it.
Yeah, so it's definitely just more, okay, here's my work. I'm turning my stuff in. That's it. It's very strictly that. There's not much of the personality coming out from the students that you get to see as if we were in class, right? So this year, writing letters of recommendation have been very samey. They come to class,
Yeah, I
they
agree.
do their work, they're pretty good. But there's not a lot of personalization in there unless they spent a lot of time in tutorial just to sit and chat with me.
I echo a lot of the same sentiments as Mr. Nguyen. Absolutely, my relationship with my students has changed drastically. I told you when I answered the first one, it's my favorite part about teaching is the connections. Don't get me wrong, I'm an English teacher. I love reading. I love teaching. Don't get me wrong, but my favorite part, hands down, is the connections that I make with the students and seeing you all every day and just asking how your weekend was. And yeah, I can still ask that, but that face-to-face connect there, it's such a big part. Like it's such an incredibly big part. And having that taken away, it just I don't even know if it can be called relationships. Like if we can use that word, it's more like just this agreement that we have where, like how Mr. Nguyen says, you do the work, right? You get the grade you earned, and I want to talk and hang out, but you don't have to. So you can just leave. So that's really damaged the relationships and really prevented me from making a good amount of them. And it breaks my heart just thinking about it. Cause like I said, that's why I'm a teacher. So this year's hard.
Especially since you teach freshmen too.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine being in their shoes, just because not only have they never been to high school before, right, but all this distance learning thing is new, and a big part of being a freshman is getting used to the culture, is getting comfortable with your teachers, getting comfortable with your students around you, and being ready, getting prepared essentially for the next 4 years. And that part is gone. Like, there's no real interaction amongst the kids, and it's not their fault, right? Obviously I'm not upset about it. It's just it just breaks my heart that they have to go through this. And once things are back to normal in the fall, it's going to be it's going to take some time to get acclimated to it. But yeah, teaching freshmen, they probably have a harder time this year's freshmen than the sophomores, juniors, seniors, I would have to say.
I just miss my kids.
Yeah.
I want them back. That's all.
Yep.
And Miss Dodd, you're in performing arts, I believe. So how is it different for you compared to, subject teachers where they go on Zoom and they can lecture and then, people do the work, turn them in Google Classroom? How are you, a bit different from that? And with all the dancing and stuff, how are you accommodating to that?
Oh man.
Well, it's crazy. I have 3 monitors set up in the dance studio. So I go into school every day, except Wednesday is the only day I stay home. I have 3 monitors set up plus my whiteboard. So I project the kids, and I have very few kids that turn on the camera, but at least the ones who did, I have them projected here. I have my back to my camera. I have another monitor set up over here so I can see, so that I can see the kids dancing and they can see me behind and follow me. What I've had to essentially kind of cut out of the curriculum is a lot of choreography. I don't have a lot of opportunity to teach choreography because that's something where I need to be able to give direct response and I can't see the kids. So that's been something that's been sad. And then pretty much all their assignments are them videotaping themselves and turning in a videotape. But iDance is still doing a concert. We're doing a concert in May, and we've been rehearsing on Zoom and then filming in lots of different locations all over Santa Clara County. And so hopefully by the second weekend of May, we'll have a live stream show ready for everybody. It's been very strange.
Can't wait to see it. I know, at least from the student end, because distance learning started when I was still in your jazz class, it's really hard to pick up choreo. At least for me it was. Jazz became one of my hardest classes because I couldn't pick up what you were putting down.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know. I honestly have tried to learn things from students on Zoom, and I can't do it. So I have no idea how people have done it.
It's insane.
It's hard.
All right. Enough of the distance learning, though. Let's go into some more funny questions. Starting with, what's the craziest / weirdest thing you guys have heard from a student in your teaching career? Something that stuck with you for being just over the top, like what?
I can't think of anything
Yeah.
that I can share on TV. We've had some accidental things come out of people's mouth that had a kind of a double entendre connotation that they didn't realize at the moment. And usually it's me, actually. It's not really.
All right. So for me, I can't remember when it was, but it's been a couple years. There was one student who was failing my economics class, and he was originally from the Philippines, and then he started telling me about how in the Philippines sometimes you can bribe teachers with money, and I don't know if he was joking or he was serious, but he said, "Would you take $100 and pass me?" And I said, are you serious? Are you asking me? Are you joking? Like, he laughed, right? But I'm pretty sure, right, if I was serious about it, he would have, just given me the money. And I just said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not, I wouldn't do that. No, that's just not me. No. Even if it happens in other countries, I don't think I will be able to do that. So that's like one of the craziest things.
I just want to let everybody, all my future students, know I do take bribes. Actually, no, I'm kidding.
Man, now I wish I had Mr. People's freshman year.
Oh, we had some good times, Lucas. I remember the Hamilton play. We had some good times, man.
We had some good times. The teacher
cool.
before you, Mr. Redshaw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember you told me. Right on, man.
Yeah.
So in regards to kind of the wildest thing I've ever heard from a student, I don't know how wild it is or how crazy or weird it is, but I remember last year when we were in person at Halloween, I had a student who dressed up, came to school in one of those inflatable T-Rex outfits, you know, where like the T-Rex, their head is all flopping around and stuff.
Those are
And he was
great.
good for the whole class. That's cool. And but like 3 minutes before the bell rang, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Peoples, do you mind playing the Jurassic Park theme as I go out of the classroom with the bell rings?" And how could I say no to that? So I don't know how weird that sounded coming out of his mouth, but it certainly was weird seeing a 12-foot T-Rex go across my room with the Jurassic Park music playing. And to this day, it still makes me chuckle. That's so funny. I also had a girl who did not expect me to have an object that she asked for. She asked me for a lint roller, and I happened to have one on my desk, and just the shock on her face that I actually had a ready to go lint roller was very much worth it. So I have to say those two.
I don't know. For me, nothing really kind of sticks with me as something crazy. But the one thing I always do remember is when students kind of show appreciation and after having the class, or like they come back and they're very appreciative of what I've done to help them, and that's what has stuck with me the most. Not so much the crazy stuff. That's just like, yeah, that was kind of crazy, but I don't exactly remember what happened. Those details don't stick with me. But the ones that do stick with me is that appreciation that's shown back from students.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Almost as sweet as some craft belly delights. Right?
I agree.
Okay, so moving on from that. So one question that I believe Lucas was curious about also is that what is your thought process when you guys are doing seating charts? And when you guys claim them to be random, are they actually?
No,
My
they're
favorite
not
question.
random. Never. And it's usually pretty random, and then I adjust.
Yeah, the only time that I do random is the first seating chart of the school year, where I don't really know anybody. So it is really just random. And then after that, it's going to be based off in groups and class performance.
Let me pull back the curtain a little bit here. This is my favorite question, by the way. That's just so random. Like, this is a good question. If you ever gone to school on the first day and your teacher said, "Hey, for this first week or so, why don't you pick any seat you want? Go ahead, take a seat. This is going to be the seating chart for the first week. Just sit wherever you want this week for the first week." You're like, "Oh, that's awesome, cool." But the reason we do it is because you're obviously going to pick your friends to sit next to, and you're obviously going to be talking throughout it. And so we take that first week, we make notes, and then when we give the seating chart the second week, I know not to sit you next to that person. So didn't mean to, sorry, my colleagues, didn't mean to pull back the curtain too far, but that is a little teacher trick that I use. So any future freshmen listening to me next year, you get to sit wherever you want for the first week. How exciting that is.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure that's what Mr. Logan did.
When I used to teach English, I used to look where people would choose to sit. And then if somebody was always choosing to sit in the back, I would make sure that the seating chart had somebody in the front, that same person in the front. So, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop you guys right there. This is the point where I do have to go. Kathleen is going to be taking over. I have an orthodontist appointment.
Bye, Lucas. I missed you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one, man.
You too, all of you. Have a good day.
Okay, so I didn't think Miss Romo got a chance to answer the seating chart question. Yeah.
I usually start with alphabetically, and I mostly get seniors, right? So, I place them based on alphabetical order, and then within a week or two, I just move them around when I see that it's not going to work out. If I have 2 chatterboxes in the same group, and I have them in groups of 4. So, yeah, I always make adjustments. Or if I have like a special request, then yeah.
So moving on, what was one thing each of you struggled with in high school? It could be a subject, it could be anything that you want to share, just so the students that are listening can hear that you were once students as well, and you also struggled, and that you're human and not just these mastermind teachers who can know every answer to everything.
I thought high school was the biggest waste of time of my life, and I'm not kidding. I barely went. By the time I was a senior, I only needed to be there until noon. And then because I'm really old, in those days, I only needed 4 classes. So I was done. I'd go home. I would start dancing at about 1 o'clock and dance until 10 o'clock, and barely went to high school my senior year. I passed all my classes and I went to college. I got a master's degree. But high school was a real struggle for me, and I needed something to, if something had been at my school that I could have latched onto and been a part of, that would have been really helpful. So that's why I love that Indy has all the clubs that they have and all the activities that they have, because those are the things that I think really stick with kids and that they remember, is all the extra stuff they got to do as well.
So for me, I was an English learner, so learning English, learning how to write, how to read, it was always a struggle, but I was so anxious to learn that I would just try my best, never miss a day, and stay after school, because I was just determined to learn and just to grasp everything that I could have, that I could have done. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I was a straight B student. Okay. It was just managing my own time from doing extracurricular sports and just trying to manage school. I wasn't very good at it, but I managed to pull off straight B's. Not very great for my parents. They weren't very happy with that, but I was okay with it. And I think a lot of people just struggle with time management in general, and I still do today, just trying to juggle teaching and selling ice cream at the same time. I just want to do a lot more than I should.
So if Mr. Nguyen didn't ace it, that means he based it, right? Straight B's. That means I cased it, because I passed straight C's. I wasn't a good student until college. But the first thing I thought of in regards to a thing I struggled with in high school, I want to be really dating. I was pretty sociable. I had lots of friends and stuff, but I never really had a significant other, not until college. So all my late bloomers out there, don't even worry about it. Okay, you got all the time in the world. But I didn't go on my first date until senior year. And even then that didn't last. So I didn't really, again, get into my first real relationship until into college. So I was a late bloomer. And if anybody is out there listening is worried about that, don't. It's whatever, really, truly. So I'll be honest with you, it's that. But I'm good now. I have a lovely fiance, 2 cats. I'm a happy guy. So, but I'm not gonna lie to
awkward my whole life.
you. Socially awkward whole life. Well, we can hang out, Mr. Nguyen, no problem.
Wow, that is pretty shocking. I mean, I think students have this persona that, teachers are good students who go on to, want to be teachers because they're so, you know, I guess really smart. So it's good to see this new perspective and this backstory behind teachers. And so I think this is also a good segue into, why did you guys choose teaching? Do you think you will be a teacher for the rest of your life, or do you plan to switch professions sometime in the future?
I have been a teacher for 31 years at Independence, and then I was a teacher for before that at other places. Not in a public high school setting, but I was teaching and choreographing all over the Bay Area. And I always wanted to be a teacher. That was never, from kindergarten on, that was never a question for me at all. And I'm getting close to retirement, so I hopefully will not have another career. Hopefully I will have a big break very soon.
So why I chose teaching? Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was really little. I wanted to be a chef. When I was older, I wanted to be a stand-up comic. I still love comedy. So teaching, it's kind of wild how it happened. Well, I don't know if it's wild. I guess it's kind of boring, but I was in my senior year English class at Andrew Hill in Miss Parker's classroom, who is now one of my coworkers. Hello, Miss Parker. And I was filling out, I didn't apply to college yet. This was in like February. And our career counselor came into the classroom while I was just hanging out in the English class. And he said, all right, who didn't apply to college yet? And I raised my hand, and he just started handing out applications to community colleges. And when I picked Evergreen, when I picked where I went to, I only picked it because I knew it was somewhat close. And when I had to pick a major, I had to check a box while I was filling it out. I ran across English, and I was sitting in my English classroom, and I realized, hey, I had a lot of fun here. I had a super duper amount of fun, and I kind of want to keep that going. I really loved my English class, and so I figured I would check English, the box next to English, and I suppose the rest is history. I never changed my majors from then on. I was on the teaching track, specifically English, and here we are today. So I realized how much fun I had, how much of a good time I ended up having in that class, and it offers me the opportunity to make connections, to be with people. I'm a big people person, very personable. I'm sure all my other teachers agree how much they love how much time off we get. I mean, when I was an East Sider, when I went to high school, my mom would say, you're never in school, man. Why don't they open? You're never in school, right? And I can see that now. I feel like we do have a lot of vacations, but again, that allows us time to do what we want and take a break. And when we do get to come back, I get to come back with a group full of people who I enjoy being around and I enjoy working with. I don't plan to really switch. I can definitely see me doing this for forever. I want to do this forever, for sure.
So I'll answer that. For me, I think it was lack of college role models. And when I was in high school, since I already mentioned that I was a newcomer English learner, the only new role models that I had were my teachers. And, I was part of like clubs after school. So sometimes, when you join a club, you get to hear more stories from your teachers. So I kind of like that lifestyle that my teachers would share when it came to, going on a vacation and having holidays off and all that. So that really, resonated with me. And I said, wow, I probably want to be a teacher just like Miss Cabrera or like Mr. Lopez. Mm-hmm. And, they were very helpful filling out applications for college, filling out EOP, financial aid forms. And I just went into San Jose State thinking I'm going to pursue what my teachers did in high school. So that's how I consider teaching. And I've been doing it now for 16 years.
Yeah, my story is very similar to the teacher who inspired me was a previous physiology teacher, Mr. Elwell. And luckily for me, I was able to be his coworker, and he was my mentor, master teacher. So he showed me everything he knows, and he was the one who inspired me during my high school years, because I was kind of directionless. I was a straight B student. Like, I'll get by, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So it was because of Mr. Elwell that inspired me to kind of come back and kind of show the same kindness that he did to me with other students and help guide them through their journey as well. And it's also part of my master grand plan to slang ice cream to all high school students so that future generations will only eat Craft Belly Delights ice cream.
Mr. Nguyen will find any excuse to sneak in Craft Belly Delights, as you can tell so far. So that kind of sums it up. So we'd like to give an extra special thanks to you guys for taking the time out of your Wednesday to come join us. I loved hearing all your answers. I think it's really awesome that we get to have this platform, or Lucas came up with this idea actually, to have a podcast, because it's kind of an outlet for students to connect with, other students as well as teachers, other than their classes, especially during this time where, it's Zoom pictures and rarely, actually verbal communication. I guess the real, aspect of having a relationship is, being able to see body language and, connecting personally. So again, special thank you, and special thank you to everyone listening in. So if you have any topics you would like to discuss, or if you would like to be part of one of these episodes, feel free to DM the class Instagram at IHS Co 2021. Again, that's at IHS Co 2021. So I'm Kathleen, and this has been Last Week with IHS 21. We'll see you next time.